like to ask if you're able, stand and remove your caps. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Cliff. I appreciate that. I'd like to welcome everybody here to our meeting here tonight. We are having tonight's meeting via Zoom, and it's virtual. And if you would like to record the meeting, I believe you can ask our co-host, who's a volunteer, Cindy Grimes, to record tonight's meeting, which is great. And so the other thing we ask is that you keep your microphone muted so that we don't have any background noise during the meeting. But if you want to speak, just put your hand up and I will recognize that and give you the time to share with what you have to say. So at this time, we're going to move right on to the agency reports. And our first report is from Los Angeles County Sheriff Resident Deputy Martinez.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Good evening. So the stats are actually behind about 15 days, so I haven't got them yet. They have some issues going on with that, but we did have 79 calls for service in the month of May. And then obviously you guys know what's going on downtown. We are starting Friday. North Patrol is going to be on emergency shifts, so all days are canceled, and we're on the 12 on, 12 off, A or B side. And so we're going to have not necessarily responding down there, but we're going to have every personnel available to respond in case things do escalate. There's a lot of plans for Saturday, apparently nationwide. So if you don't have to travel in the downtown area, I strongly suggest you stay home and enjoy our beautiful community. But other than that, there's not much going on.
Great. Anybody have any questions for Orlando? It looks like we're clear. We thank you for the report and hope everything stays safe downtown. There's no question about that.
Yep, I'll stay on if anyone has any questions.
Great. Super. We appreciate it. Next up, we have the California Highway Patrol's report tonight given by
Officer Delgado.
Officer Delgado.
All right, I'll be filling in for Officer Allen tonight. Officer Allen, he's been down in downtown LA so far this week, so I don't know how long he'll be down there, but probably gonna be a while.
Perfect.
So for last month, for traffic crashes on the adjacent area around Agua Dulce, we had 2 injury crashes. On Sierra Highway, we had 4 property damage crashes, 1 injury crash. On Soledad Canyon Road, we had 2 injury crashes. On Sand Canyon Road, we had 1 property damage crash. And then on Bouquet Canyon Road, we had 1 property damage crash, 2 injury crashes, and 1 misdemeanor hit and run. On Agua Dulce Canyon Road, we had 0 crashes. On the 14 freeway northbound, in front of kind of right there from Soledad to Ward Road, we had 4 property damage crashes, 4 injury crashes, 3 misdemeanor hit and runs. And on the southbound side, same location, we had 1 injury crash and 1 misdemeanor hit and run. As far as traffic citations, we had 4 in the general area around Agua Dulce, 14 were on Sierra Highway, and then we had 96 on the northbound 14, and then 105 citations on the southbound 14 in that general area. And then as far as arrests, for the unincorporated area up there around Agua Dulce, we had 1 DUI arrest, 1 arrest involving a battery, 1 suspended driver going over 100 miles an hour. On Sierra Highway, there were 3 DUI arrests, 1 reckless driver arrest. On Bouquet Canyon, we recovered 1 stolen vehicle. I believe it was unoccupied. And then on the northbound 14, we had 2 warrants, 2 DUI arrests, 2 felony pursuits, 2 stolen vehicles, and 3 drivers taken for suspended driver's license. And on the southbound side, we had 4 warrants, 3 DUI arrests. We had 2 people involved in a speed contest, 1 person arrested for child endangerment, 1 person for brandishing a firearm, and 2 people for driving on a suspended driver's license. And then that's what I have for last month for Agua Dulce area. Does anyone have any questions for me? I can give to Officer Allen, or anything that needs to be attention brought to.
That looks like you're pretty clear. Great. We appreciate the detailed report. Fantastic.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Next up, we do have Los Angeles County Fire Department report. It was Maria, but it doesn't look like Maria. It looks like it's going to be Pat instead.
It is not Maria. I apologize for that, but I think I'll probably do okay. So Maria is actually on vacation up in Canada. So I'm joining you from LAPD's Academy up in Elysian Park. Also assigned to the civil unrest there, the civil disturbances in downtown, in some of those areas throughout LA County, including Paramount. So I'll be on this incident through the weekend, and we're all in unified command with LAPD, LA City Fire, LA County Sheriff's, CHP. So for Agua Dulce, for the fire report for May of 2025, total responses 54. There were 4 fires reported. 2 of those were vehicle fires. One had damage of $8,400. The other had damage of $20,000. There was 1 small grass fire, 15 by 15 feet, and then there was a 1-acre brush fire. Unknown cause was undetermined on the 1-acre brush fire. 36 EMS calls, 1 service call, 1 hazardous condition, typically that's a wires down of some sort, and then 12 good intent calls. For a safety tip of the month, going into July here, all fireworks are illegal in all of unincorporated area of Los Angeles County. That includes safe and sane fireworks. Los Angeles County Fire Department encourages everyone to leave the fireworks to the professionals and visit a fireworks show. On our website, fire.lacounty.gov, we typically will list those professional fireworks shows. It usually comes out about 10 days prior to the holiday, and you can visit fire.lacounty.gov for that. Again, as a reminder, we have a lot of brush out there. We're already getting starts here for the fire season. We've had a couple decent-sized fires here already on the 5 corridor. We had one down in Burbank yesterday. So the fire season is here. Any ignition source in the brush, that brush will carry it, so we'll be ready. We're typically going into the holiday season or the holiday weekend. For the 4th of July, we will staff appropriately. We'll make sure we have extra staffing on and make sure that we have patrols out in the area, patrolling those areas for the brush. I think that's it for the report, unless there's questions.
Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Looks like you're clear. Thank you very much, Pat. We appreciate the report. Hope Maria enjoys her time off, and hope everybody stays safe out there.
Appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys tonight.
Great, fantastic. Next up, looks like we have the Acton Agua Dulce Library Report from the librarian, Jim Wall. Jim, are you with us here tonight?
I am. Good evening. How you doing?
Good, good.
Glad to hear. So just things going on at the library. First, our summer discovery program has started up. The way it works is you read your books, you log them, and then you come back into the library and you can get prizes. You can sign up online at the library's website, lacountylibrary.org, or you can come in and get the paper game here at the circulation desk. They'll get you squared away that way. A couple upcoming programs I've got. All of our programs also are listed on the website too, but some of the big ones we've got coming up, I've got on Tuesday, June 4th at 3 o'clock. I've got an ocean discovery program. I've got some folks coming, and they're going to be talking about ocean marine mammals. They're going to have some tide pool animals that you can touch, as well as some other mammal artifacts to explore. So that's that. And then that following Saturday, June 28th, 2 o'clock, we're back by popular demand. We're bringing the Sushi for Beginners class. I've got a sushi chef coming in. He will be demonstrating making sushi so you can attempt to replicate it at home. And the last thing I'm just going to mention, we do have a couple of upcoming holidays. We will be closed on June 19th for Juneteenth. And then we got 4th of July coming up. We will be closed that day as well. Other than that, if you got questions for me, otherwise I'm good.
All right. Fantastic. Anybody have any questions for Jim? Fantastic. Great report. We appreciate it. Thank you much. Next up, we have the Department of Public Works report coming from Josie. Josie, you here? No.
I'm here. Hi, good evening. I'm Josie Gutierrez with LA County Public Works. Some things to report on. The traffic study for Agua Dulce Canyon Road and Davenport Road. That study has been completed, and good news, we are recommending to install multi-way stop control at that intersection. Basically what that means is it's going to be an all-way stop.
Okay.
The next step basically is right now we're preparing the estimate to request for funding for the project. But the likelihood of that is it won't get funded at the earliest. Would be next fiscal year. Basically that starts in July, because everything for this year has already been programmed. But I am pushing for that because I know it's a priority for the community. So that's the latest update for that. So we're preparing the estimate to get funded. And then there's the request, traffic study to look at speeding on Escondido Canyon Road near Vasquez Rocks. That's still ongoing. We anticipate to complete that study in about 5 weeks, so end of July. Let me see. And then our road maintenance staff had sent an email to the town council about the Sierra Highway Phase 4 project that right now is not scheduled until summer of 2026. Where basically our road crew staff here at MD2 are basically focusing right now on the recovery operations, the fire recovery operations. So right now, basically, for the area, they're doing, routine maintenance, but the main focus is basically the, fire recovery. So that's why this Sierra Highway Phase 4 project is pushed until summer 2026. That's basically all I have, unless somebody has questions for me.
Looks like Chris has his hand up. Chris, you want to unmute your mic and ask your question?
Thanks, Josie. I have a couple of questions. One about the Sierra Highway resurfacing project. After you had sent that update out to the council, we obviously have a water company down here, so when projects like this get undertaken, we get communications in advance of it asking us to mark our lines and make sure that we don't need to excavate the road after it's been fixed. So those emails for that project were still coming out, even though it's been postponed. So the emails that are coming out are asking the utility companies to mark their lines, etc., because it's going to be done, I think, in the fall of this year. So just to give you feedback there.
That's good. That's good feedback. Thank you.
And on the stop sign at Davenport and Agua Dulce Canyon, and this is a question more to the council members, do we give a letter of support to Public Works, or now that it's been approved, do we just wait while it gets done?
Well, as far as I know, we requested the study because there were some residents that were concerned about that intersection. And so when they have their, when they come to the conclusion of their study and they make a recommendation, I think we've already, we're the ones that actually requested that study. So, you know, in essence, when they come up with a finding at the end of that study, I think that is the final word, unless someone wants to add to that.
Well, the impression I got was that when I read it, it goes next to the Board of Supervisors, I think, for approval.
Right, and I think that's
yeah. The steps we go through, basically, right now, we're going to request for funding. But concurrently, because it's a new traffic regulations, it has to go to the board for approval. Right now, we're targeting sometime in November for that to get approved by the board. So, I mean, it wouldn't hurt. You could send a letter of support, I guess. But typically, these items, traffic regulations, they go in the consent item on the board. But
so it's a formality then.
As far as I know, unless, somebody like a community member or whatever, somebody basically had requested it to be pulled out or something, because they go through, on traffic regulations, we typically submit a few of them at a time to the board because it takes a while to get on the board agenda. So sometimes we have maybe 10 to 20 traffic regulations that just gets, like I said, it's basically to be part of the consent calendar.
Okay, thank you.
all right. Anybody else? Okay, great. We're going to move right on to, looks like LA County Parks, Vasquez Rocks. Park Superintendent Sarah Brewer has something that she wants to share with us. Sarah?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I was wondering which one you were.
Our internet is touch and go here sometimes, so.
You're coming in loud and clear.
All right, perfect. So thanks for coming, everybody. I just have a couple quick little fun updates. We're trucking along on our programming, so we're about to have our second fireside night of the year. So we're going to be doing them once a month through October. So this Sunday, if you guys or any friends or family want to celebrate Father's Day with us, we're celebrating fathers and father figures with some s'mores and just around the campfire and just having fun, crafts, things like that. So it'll be at 5 o'clock, I believe, 5 to 7:30, and I can put the flyer in the chat if you guys would like it. And so that'll be a lot of fun. Those are always cool. They're free for everybody. So last time, a month ago, we had Mother's Day, and we had, lots of families with young kids, and, it's just life is expensive and complicated, so we try to make things easy for folks to come and enjoy. So feel free to come if you would like. We're still open 6 days a week, so we're open Tuesday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. I know sometimes we get that's our most common question. It is hot. We did have a airlift recently, just within the last week, of a gentleman who was having some heat exhaustion out on the trail. Luckily, he was fine once he got some water and electrolytes. So too, just, if you have friends or family or anybody that's coming out, just have them, be cognizant of that, make sure they're hydrated and, before they come and all that good stuff, because we just want to keep everybody safe. And I think that's about it. We still have all of our weekly programs. We just had another Twilight hike, which was a blast. So we're doing those once a month through October also. Those do require registration because they fill up pretty quick, but those are free. And those are all, you can reach all of those links on our website or in my email signature. They're all there. So if you have any questions, just call us, email us. And then we have free programs that you can just drop on in all the other days of the week, pretty much, except Thursdays. So yeah, feel free to come by and let me know if you guys have any questions, and just stay nice and safe and hydrated out there.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Sarah? All right. Thank you very much for the report, Sarah. Appreciate it. Next up, we have 5th District Report, Stephanie English's office, and it looks like Isabel is here this evening.
Don.
Hi.
Just a couple quick updates on what's going on with the board office. So last week's board meeting, the board unanimously approved a motion by Supervisor Barger that secured the board's support in urging federal lawmakers to back legislation that requires the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA office, their physicians to sign veteran death certificates within 72 hours of notification. As you guys know, the supervisor is a huge supporter of veterans, so she authored this motion, and basically right now there's no federal law that exists to guarantee this 72-hour time frame, and the supervisor strongly believes it needs to change. So this got unanimously approved. And then this week, the board unanimously approved a motion by Supervisor Solis that enhances measles vaccinations and prevention throughout LA County. I'm sure you guys have probably seen in the news there's been a rise in measles throughout the nation. The U.S. is currently experiencing the worst measles outbreak in recent years, and as of I think it was May 16th, middle of last month, there have been over 1,000 cases confirmed, and that's throughout 31 jurisdictions, including California. So this basically just looks at, measles vaccinations in the county and education, things like that, and how the county can enhance it. So there's going to be a report back in 30 days on it. That's it from me. I see Chris is back on. Welcome back, Chris. You missed the last couple meetings. We had Caroline on, who's from our county council team, who gave updates on Sleepy Valley. I'm sure Mary filled you in, but she couldn't. She was possibly going to come tonight. She couldn't make it. But I know, Chris, you know a lot about what's going on with that, and I know you may have questions. You can reach out to me. I can put you in contact with her, or we can even have her come next month or at the next meeting to share some more information or updates with you guys. And that's it for me.
Okay. Looks like Chris has one question. Chris?
Yeah, so thank you very much, Isabel. I did actually get the chance. So we had the annual membership meeting of the Sleepy Valley Water Company for all our customers last weekend. And I was able to talk to Caroline and actually understand some of the detail of what's been going on. My understanding is that when it was looked at earlier by the LA County, the district attorney didn't pursue it because there was only a misdemeanor issue at the hand. That has changed. There was effectively a quasi-criminal warrant searched at the property in April. A licensed plumber went in there, inspected the septic system, and I think the report has been produced, and then the homeowner is going to be expected to respond by fixing or replacing a septic system to that report. And my sense from the discussion with Caroline is that this probably is going to get resolved one way or the other, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So I appreciate the work that the county's doing to try and give us some safe, clean drinking water now.
I'm glad I don't know if she gave you her contact info, but I think Mary, you have it. She's shared it before, so she's a good contact if you ever have questions, Chris, but I'm glad you're able to connect with her.
Thank you.
Isabel, we had one other question on the ADUs, and I don't know if you had a chance to research it, but apparently there's been some changes, and basically it's just for our information to be able to tell people that are interested in putting in an accessory dwelling unit on their property. At first, they were not being allowed in very high fire hazard severity zones. And I don't know if that particular regulation has been modified, but have you heard anything? I know the state is looking for more housing, so I'm just curious as to what the standing is currently.
I'm not up to date on that. Did you guys bring this up last time? I vaguely remember.
Yeah, I think we talked about it.
So.
And, it's something where I don't know if regional planning has a list of the regulations. I'm assuming they probably do, but I don't know if, I think the county's view on it was going to be very limited, and you had to have, You had to be out of the heavy fire zone. You had to have 2 accesses, if I'm not mistaken, and so on and so forth. There were some other regulations or restrictions, and yet I think the state came in and said, we're going to relax those restrictions and we're going to allow it because we need more housing. So I don't know where it stands currently. And I'd hate to see someone purchase a piece of property believing that it's going to be very easy for them to get an ADU, and then only to find out that either they're not able to get one, or it's so expensive it's not worth the time and effort.
I think last time, or maybe it was the time before, I think Maria from the fire department answered the question as far as the fire regulations, if I'm not mistaken. Unfortunately, Chief Springle, I think, is off now, so I can't ask him right now, but I can definitely check on that, and I'd need to check with our Department of Regional Planning as well to get some more information for you. But yeah, I'm happy to look into it. I don't have the answer on hand right now.
Okay, it looks like Chris has got his hand up. Maybe he wants to add something to the question. Chris?
Yeah, I can add something to that, and also to have another question for Isabel on another topic. But it's certainly the case that people are buying land in the area. The Sleepy Valley Water Company down here, we got approached probably 6 months ago by an architectural firm, and I forget whether they were from San Diego or Orange County, but the client they were working for had purchased a number of contiguous lots to the immediate north of the former Alamo Church property. And their question to us was, how do we get, what are your developer fees for hooking up to your water system? And also, who do we talk to get hooked up to the sewer system? And so, yeah. And we said, well, you're not from around here, are you? The question that was posed to us was, well, how on earth did somebody get this many lots? Because, you look at the lots, they're quite small because they date back to the 1920s. And they said, how did the original person get this lot, these small lots approved? And we explained that they were basically recorded in 1925, 100 years ago. And that, people use wells and septic systems. And if you're going to put wells up there, you need offsets to your septic system. So there is an element of that happening within the community, certainly around us, that we've been aware of. So,
and the other comment about private lots, Chris?
Yeah, these are private lots. There's a street, I think, called Alpine Street, just off Sierra Highway in Sleepy Valley, and there was a series of lots that go back up to the hill on the south side of Sierra Highway. We actually don't have water supply on that side of Sierra Highway, so it would be quite a major civil engineering exercise, in addition to the fact that we have a moratorium on adding more people to our network at the moment. So,
okay.
But the other point that I'd like to just quickly flag with you is that I think you've been with Stephanie's office for long enough to remember the Gardens of Paradise saga.
I do.
And if you scroll down our agenda to the planning applications, you'll see that there's an application that's been put in for 12120 Sierra Highway. And that is more or less opposite the motels, just past Le Chien, next to where George's Tractors used to be. There was, I think, for a short period of time, some homeless people living on that particular piece of property. And the application seems to be for a live music concert venue. Given what we went through with Gardens of Paradise, I don't think that's quite the use of land that we're hoping for in Agua Dulce. So I don't know where we go with that. Maybe some of the other council members can just chime in on this now before we skip over it as we get to the latter part of the agenda.
I'm glad you flagged that for me. I'm trying to find it on the agenda. Oh no, not the RTG. I'll find it, but where have they applied for to do it?
So there is, Mary had pulled up some planning permits that we get distributed to the council every week or so. This was from a gentleman called, I think his last name is Harutian. Okay. And he, when I looked at the planning application number, I think he's also got some projects going on over in Castaic as well. But parking a live music venue in the middle of the canyon there,
Yes.
it is going to basically cause a repeat of everything that we went through with Gardens of Paradise.
Right.
And we want to make sure that whoever's in the planning department who's looking after this probably is cognizant of some of those issues about what these do to the adjacent community members and how much of a problem it creates.
Hey, Chris, what's that address one more time?
12120 Sierra Highway.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if Mary can send me whatever you guys were sent so I can see it and get the information, then I'll get it to the right person and we will definitely flag it because we don't want to see any repeats of Gardens of Paradise either, Chris.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's the concern. If we can find out what is allowed, what's not allowed, both on the ADU and this proposed concert venue, then it'll be clear for anybody else that comes into the area. They'll know that this is what's allowed and this is what's not allowed. Otherwise, it's hard to tell someone, no, you can't do that, or yes, you can do that without knowing where the county stands. So if you could research that for us, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, Isabel, if you look at the agenda, it's under number 18, President's Report, D, incoming correspondence for notice, then go down to regional planning plans file. It's the first one.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, Mary, if you can send me, if you guys have the name and stuff, that's...
Sure.
I know you're not going to put that on your agenda, but just to me so I can figure out, who, what, when, why.
Okay, I can do that.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Thank you, Isabel. We appreciate it. Next up, we have the California 34th Assembly District, Assembly Member Tom Lackey. And I think, Anna, are you here with us tonight? Maybe not. I don't see, looking at the Hollywood Squares here, it looks like she's not here. So we'll go to Paul Lindeblock. Let's see. California 23rd Senate District, Senator Suzette Martinez Valadares. Is Tanya here to give a report? Looks like she's not here either. Okay.
Hey, Don, real quick, going back to that property. So I actually contacted the owners a few months ago. They were living out of an RV on it. It's a young couple. I'm pretty sure that's just straight residential area. There's not, so I don't think there's a possibility that that's going to get approved for that kind of use. And they were fairly young. And they bought it thinking they could live in an RV on a vacant lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get quite a few calls like that, and then they're surprised when you say, no, you're not allowed to do that, but if we had it, and I believe regional planning is pretty cut and dry. And
I went through with regional planning for when they opened up a case for them, and then they got rid of the RV and stuff, because obviously there's no electricity or sewage and stuff like that for it, but they were there for a few weekends, and then unless the property changed hands again, that was probably about 6 months ago.
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing. Someone has intentions. Hey, they look at the bear, they come out here on the weekend. Look, it'd be great to have a concert like Woodstock there, and it's something that I don't know what zoning is required for an outside concert venue area, but I don't believe we've ever had an outside concert venue in Agua Dulce or Acton. So, I think Gardens of Paradise tried it several times. They had quite a few raves down there. I had an individual crash through our fence here at the office. So, it definitely didn't do the community any good. But the K-Rails have kind of stopped the activity down there, which is wonderful.
That's because we still have the injunction. The injunction's still in place. It hasn't gone away. They're not allowed, other than maintenance access, they're not allowed to have any kind of wedding or anything on the ground. So they're still allowed to maintain it. He's still fighting it in court. I would update you guys as soon as I hear any court hearings. But from the last time, it was going to be about $10 million of retrofitting to even possibly think about making that into a venue.
Okay.
And it didn't seem like that was gonna. He didn't have that kind of capital, basically.
I got you. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to move on to the U.S. 27th Congressional District, George Whitesides. Shannon Hurst, I believe, is with us here tonight. Shannon?
Right.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're
All
coming
right.
in loud and clear.
Awesome. It is a little bit dark where I am, so I apologize. The sun is going down, and I had not anticipated that with my shades drawn because it is hot outside and electricity is expensive. So, 2 quick updates in terms of programming. We just hosted our Service Academy send-off with a lot of appointees to various service academies. We had Brigadier General Doug Wickert, commander of the 412th Test Wing at Edwards Air Force Base, come and speak. We had Councilwoman Lauren Leslie Hughes and a current U.S. Air Force Academy cadet, Michaela Balljet. Sorry, that is my cat playing with some toys in the background. So it was a really good opportunity for the congressman to meet with a lot of the appointees and their family members. I wanted to thank Mary, you for hosting on the Acton social media pages the Congressional App Challenge, which is now open. We started receiving some applications from students. So to students ages grades 6 to 12, they can submit anything that has coding in it. Honestly, it could also be called the Congressional Coding Challenge. So they can submit anything like a mobile app, a robot, a website, a game, a wearable program, any machinery. It could be a medical device, even if it has a couple lines of code that can be sent in. We can have groups up to 4 individuals large. At least half of them have to either reside in or attend school within the California 27th District. They can use any coding language, any topic. It can be JavaScript, Python, R, C++, etc., etc. And the deadline is October 30th. The reason we try and make sure and get any participants involved as early in the process as we can is because this is not something you can do overnight. There is a bit of a process as far as you have to submit a video and add a lot of information as to what the purpose of your application is. It has to have some kind of use to it. We're looking for something innovative. And the winner gets I believe, a copyright fee waiver through the Arts Act, through the U.S. Copyright Office for whatever their application is. So, like I said, we've started receiving a few applications, and we're looking for anyone, again, grades 6 to 12. Mr. Wall, I think you're still on. But we'd be happy to drop off some flyers for you if you'd like to put some up in your libraries. We'd love to see them and see Agua Dulce represented in the application pool. So that is my update. Let me know if you have any questions. And like, as always, the Congressman's office is here to help you with any federal agencies. I can drop my email in the chat if anyone needs it, but I'm happy to help connect you with our amazing caseworkers. We just had another caseworker join the team, so we're really ready to help you as best we can.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. Anybody have any questions for Shannon or for the Congressman? If not, we're going to move. We appreciate you being here tonight and giving that report. We look forward to having plenty of response for the app drive or whatever we want to call it. Next up, we do have Santa Clara River Watershed Area Steering Committee, Measure W, Watershed Coordinator, Amanda Begley. Amanda, hey, great.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. So yeah, I just wanted to give an update. You might remember before we had the Rural Water Supply Reliability Program. We have opened up a second round is open for applications. And that is to get relief for hauled water expenses incurred between October 2023 and November 2024. I saw in the agenda that the link is there for the application. It's a Google form. It's fairly straightforward. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or reach out to me on that email that's also on the agenda. As part of this program, we're also providing free well assessments for folks who are having issues with their well going dry, and that will be done through RCAC, the Rural collective with Rural Collaborative Assistance Corporation. I think that's right. But they do really awesome work. And then there's also going to be, and this is all listed in the application, the ability to get a free water tank. And so those will be delivered to folks if you choose, if you apply and you get into the program in the fall. We're hoping to do that. So this program is funded through the Department of Water Resources. We heard through doing survey in the area about the residents of Acton and Agua Dulce having issues with their wells going dry. So when we saw this funding opportunity come up through the Department of Water Resources, we applied for it on all of your behalf, and that's what this is about.
Good. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
And you say it's from October 23rd to November of 24.
Yeah, I know, it's so strange. So that was like the program's called the Urban Multi-Benefit Drought Relief, or we call it UMDR. We like these acronyms. But it was when the state was dealing with some drought issues. So that's why there's a date that seems kind of strange now that we're in 2025. But that's what that's about.
Okay, great. Yeah. We thank you very much for being here tonight. Anybody have any questions for Amanda? Okay. And of course, the next Santa Clara River Watershed Steering Committee meeting is going to be June 23rd between 1 to 3 p.m. And that's at the Santa Clarita City Hall. So look forward to everybody attending that. Other than that, we do have Senate Bill 552, which is Small At-Risk Task Force Working Group for LA County Drought Resilience Plan. Anybody want to give any report on that?
Chris, do you want to jump in on this at all?
Sure. Yeah, so at the LA County Summit back in probably 12 months ago, LA County put a number of working groups together, task forces, to deal with various aspects of recycling water, storing water, and also assisting the various small water systems around the county in dealing with a whole range of issues such as integration with larger water systems, contamination of their water supply, and obviously more recently dealing with the requirements of Senate Bill 552, which has some good intent to help strengthen water systems against the drought, and it is going to cost an awful lot of money, and that's the issue that most of these water companies are facing. So I was fortunate enough to become a member of the task force and represent effectively a small water system operator. So the task force has been looking with the assistance of Stantec and the University of Southern California at various issues towards an end goal, so that we can then start to assist small water companies improve the service they deliver to their customers. And most recently, there was a couple of what they call listening sessions, one in the Antelope Valley and one down in the sort of center of LA. And the objective of the listening session was really to understand what issues these water systems are facing. We then had, and there's quite a lot of overlap. There's a degree of, I think, over-regulation. A lot of the regulations from the State Water Board, the reporting requirements that we have to adhere to are great if you're the Santa Clarita Valley Water Agency and you're serving 200,000 people. But, when you're dealing with 35 connections or 60 connections, there's an element of using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. There's an issue of aging infrastructure, both in terms of the pipes that are in the ground and also the people who are running these companies. They tend to be retired. And there's no real, how to run a water system university course to go to. And then more recently, Mary became involved in these and was at, I think, the one in April. And then also at the one that happened, I think, last week, if I'm not mistaken. And there is some interest in understanding the needs of residential well owners. There's a number of slides that I intend to try and get a hold of, but when you look at some of these state online resources from the Water Board, you can see that there's quite a density of wells in the Acton and Agua Dulce area that are under stress, for want of a better expression, when you look at these GIS maps with the overlays on it. There are water systems within Agua Dulce. There's one on, I think, just west of Agua Dulce Canyon along Darling Road. In that area, there's a private water company. There's one at the Oak Park mobile home park next to Le Chêne. Those are flagged as failing. So they've got big red flags on them, and they can be flagged as failing for a number of reasons, but we just need to understand that within our community we have some water systems that are struggling. And then the other issue that this group is trying to figure out an answer for now is how to actually reach out to the private well owners so that we can understand what they need in terms of support. One of the big challenges is obviously that it's not normally a good day when somebody from the county shows up at your property and starts asking questions out in this part of the world. So there's a very strong resistance, understandably, at the sort of private well owner level to giving any information that they don't need to. But the task force is currently working through that. Next meeting, I think, will be sometime in August. And I think next Monday on the 16th at the headquarters for Public Works is going to be the second annual LA County Water Plan Forum. And that was actually something that I went to last year along with Jackie from the Acton Town Council. And it's quite interesting because Supervisor Horvath makes a great job of putting some very senior representatives from state and the local level into the same room at the same time. So it's a very good opportunity to understand the bigger issues, but also to make some contacts so that if we actually run into some issues within our community, we can reach out to the right people and hopefully have a sanguine conversation about how we can help people resolve issues they're having with their water supply.
Wonderful.
Do you have anything else to add, Mary?
No, it's a little frustrating because the people who are running this just don't get it. I'll be completely honest. They don't understand small systems, and they don't understand individual well owners. So one of the Lee Abramson, who is one of the public works coordinators of this, reached out to me and said, I think it would be helpful if we could have a one-on-one conversation so that he could understand things a little bit better. So I'm hopeful that they're going to reach out, but I know the guy from the Santa Clarita area who deals with water, he's on the watershed committee with me, and he really said, you need to engage the people in Santa Clarita who are on wells, which is the Bouquet Canyon area, San Francisco area. So I know, Don, if I talk to you, I know there's a couple people who you deal with over at Bouquet, and there's kind of a little group of them that have kind of a little coalition. Maybe if you could give me a contact for them, that might be helpful, so that they've at least got somebody to reach out to. Not that they might say, it's my private well, I don't want to have you dealing with any aspect of it. So, but it's going to be a challenge on, coming up with a plan for private well owners during droughts. So, and that's what this is all about. So.
Yeah, so I went to the RCAC is the Rural Community Assistance Corporation, and they control the state revolving funds for helping rural communities and tribes get access to funding to help improve their water supply. And there was a 22nd of May, I went to a training session on SB 552 over at the Valencia Hyatt, and they actually were able to zoom in a guy called Chad Fisher, who heads the SAFER program up in the state of California Water Board. And he came out with some interesting statistics. There's 7,260 public water systems around the state, 2,843 community water systems, 1,282 state small water systems, which are ones that have less than 15 connections. And there are 296,283 domestic wells that they know about. One of the issues when you're dealing with domestic wells is that a lot of people have popped them in without a permit. So the county agencies just don't even know they're there. This issue is getting quite a lot of bandwidth. But the big roadblock in this is, I can just talk from Sleepy Valley's perspective. One of the objectives that we had to meet was to make sure we had a backup power supply because Edison keeps turning the power off. And we spent in the last financial year $13,500 having a generator transfer switch added to our well house so that we can bring a movie trailer generator in and run the wells if the power's out for any extended period of time. But it's worse than that, and there's a lot of disconnect. There was a story that was shared about a water system in the Central Coast who'd actually spent $120,000 buying a generator so they could run their well pumps in the event of an outage. And along came the California Air Resource Board via their local agency and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but your generator doesn't comply to California's emission standards anymore, so you can't use it." So they had to offload that generator in Arizona somewhere and go buy another one. So, there's as you might expect, the intent is good, but behind the scenes is organized chaos.
Yeah. Well, and I think a long-term solution is really what people would like to see happen. But what Amanda has come up with, this funding for the people that have to have hauled water, I mean, it's like a breath of fresh air. And it's something we realize it's not going to go on forever. But it's something where people that are faced with that hardship, as far as you get a driller, if your well goes dry, let's say you're already 600 foot deep, and now you're looking at drilling another well 800 or 1,200 foot deep, all of a sudden you're talking upwards of $100,000 by the time you get that well drilled and outfitted, and you're talking 1 to 2 year time frame. So it's something where in a lot of situations, especially if it's strictly for domestic purposes, the hauled water is not that bad of an investment. It's just that it is expensive. So the fact that Amanda has come up with this solution, we realize it's not going to go on forever, but it's something that will definitely provide relief, immediate relief for those people that are in hardship cases that have to have the water hauled in. And, something we definitely appreciate that, Amanda.
Thank you all. And if there's anything else I can do to assist with any of the small at-risk water system task force stuff, let me know. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
552. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Well, now we're going to move on to next report, which is waste management. I see that Quincy is here tonight, I believe. There she is. Okay. Yeah,
yes. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. So the only thing I wanted to touch on, the AVEX Center for Hazardous Waste was closed last month for the events. So this month we were open on the 7th, and we are set to be open on the 21st as well. So I just wanted to let everybody know, if you were planning to come in May and weren't able to make it, we will be open on the 21st.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Anybody have any questions for Quincy? Well, thank you for taking the time to join us here at the meeting.
Of course. And then I'll leave my information in the chat.
Wonderful. Fantastic. And Quincy, one phone call, and the problem that I had at my house concerning my dumpster was taken care of. So it was amazing. You do finally get some results.
So glad to hear that. Thanks, Don.
No, so that would definitely get thumbs up on that one. Next up, we have the Rural Roadway Safety Plan by LA County Department of Public Works, and I believe we're going to get somewhat of a report from Fong. Is that true?
Yes, I have a presentation going on.
Wonderful.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Fong Trin. I am a Principal Civil Engineering Assistant with Los Angeles County Public Works Vision Zero section. As part of the Vision Zero initiative, our goal is to eliminate traffic-related fatalities and severe injuries on unincorporated county-maintained roadways. We are using a data-driven process to help us identify where and why traffic collisions are happening and prioritize projects and programs in these areas. So I'm here today to ask for your feedback related to traffic safety to help us develop this rural roadway safety plan for the unincorporated communities of Antelope Valley. I will have some time for questions at the end of the presentation. I've shared a link to our sign-in sheet as well as the feedback form and a file for our fact sheet if you guys want to reference it later.
Yes. Are we planning to share your presentation with the rest of the meeting?
If you guys want it, I can.
Yeah, we can. If you want to have the slides on the screen while you talk through it, we can just let you share. I think that Cindy can do that.
Oh, am I sharing right now?
No.
I am not sharing right now. I thought I was.
We actually have to allow you to share, so the meeting organizer, Cindy Grimes, will do that, and then it looks like...
Okay, it looks like you're starting to share your screen. Let's see if it comes through here.
I am stuck. Can you still hear me?
Perfect.
Does it work? It's working?
Yes.
Working.
This is
Thank you.
great.
And just FYI, Chris, Fong had sent me a copy of the PowerPoint, so I can, I'll send that off after the meeting.
All right, Fong. Looks like we lost
I'm
the
back.
feed. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but we're looking at you. We're not looking at your
Presentation
that you were sharing just a minute ago.
Mary, do you have the file that maybe you can share? I think it was the screen sharing that kicked me out. I was getting issues with the Zoom.
Let's see. Mary's mic is still on mute, which is
but I can continue talking. You can.
Okay.
Here we are. Okay.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
So, going on to the next screen, there's a quick overview of the county's vision, the screen 2.
Is this good?
I think this is 3.
Okay.
Yeah, this the one preview. Yeah, so we want to talk about the Vision Zero initiative first. We have a Vision Zero action plan that was adopted in August 2020, which identified a number of strategies or actions to enhance traffic safety. The Vision Zero initiative was co-led by Public Works with Public Health. It identified 200 collision concentration corridors based on the collision data from 2013 to 2017. So these are areas where 3 or more fatal or severe injury collisions occurred within a half-mile roadway segment within this 5-year period. The 200 corridors account for 125 miles, or just 4% of the roadways maintained by the county, and so therefore is the focus of our traffic safety efforts. The Vision Zero action plan can be found at our website at visionzerolacounty.com. Next screen. This is a map of some of the collision concentration corridors in Agua Dulce. Out of the 200 collision concentration corridors, over 28 are within the Antelope Valley. Fortunately, there's only one that's in the top 20, which is 50th Street, which is like not near Agua Dulce. So knowing this, Public Works with collaboration with Public Health, we applied for the Safe Streets and Roads for All program, also known as SS4A in 2023. So what is this SS4A program? This is a grant program funded by USDOT, next slide, the USDOT under the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. The funding is dedicated to support regional and local projects and strategies to prevent roadway deaths and serious injuries. In December 2023, the county was selected to receive grant funding. A portion of this grant will be used to develop this rural roadway safety plan that I'm here for today. In December 2024, we executed the grant agreement with FHWA to begin the project. Next screen. This map, you can find this on the fact sheet, and if you need, I can also send this presentation later on. No, actually, Mary, you can send it out, right? It includes most of the unincorporated communities within Antelope Valley and shows a heat map of the collision history from, the the fatal collision locations are shown with the green dots. And then we noticed from 2018 to 2022, there was an increase of 76% in fatalities compared to the previous 5-year period. The fatalities within the Antelope Valley unincorporated communities accounted for 24% of all fatal collisions on county-maintained roadways. So this supports the need for this supplemental planning effort, such as the Rural Roadway Safety Plan. The goal of this plan is to develop recommendations to inform future traffic safety enhancements based on your needs, while also taking into consideration the key locations such as these top collision concentration corridors within the Antelope Valley. Our approach to developing the roadway plan, this roadway safety plan, will focus primarily on engagement and technical analysis. So we want to engage the community members to gather input on traffic safety challenges and use these results from the technical analysis to develop recommendations along county-maintained roadways. As part of the safety plan, we will be looking into some of the typical rural area treatments or enhancements, such as roundabouts, passing lanes, rumble strips, and perhaps even shoulder widening, and other engineering countermeasures. So at this time, we have a tentative project timeline. Next slide. We're estimating 2 years to complete this plan. The comprehensive effort to develop this plan will have these general steps as shown on the screen and is estimated to complete by the end of 2027. We plan on conducting data analysis to identify collision trends and determine locations for infrastructure work. We will be engaging with the community members throughout the span of the project to understand traffic safety challenges. So this will not be the only time we will be here talking to you guys. Based on the results from the data analysis and community feedback, we will then conduct feasibility studies and prepare conceptual plans for traffic safety enhancements to be included in our draft plan and eventually complete the final plan. So here I am today to gather your thoughts, concerns, and ideas about traffic safety in your community. If you have any thoughts in response to any of the questions on the screen, next slide, please take a moment to fill out the feedback form. It's lacounty.pw/RRSP. So what does traffic safety mean to you? What kind of challenges do you see? Where do you want to see these enhancements to go in? That kind of questions. You don't need me to read that, right? So this is our, next slide. This is our contact information. So we hope to partner with you guys and gather your valuable input. Please share the feedback form link with your friends, family, neighbors, and you can reach us at vision0@pw.lacounty.gov. Also, if you want to receive project updates, there's the sign-in sheet in the chat. Make sure to fill it out, and if anyone has questions, I can take that up. this time.
Okay, looks like Chris has a question or a comment. Chris?
Hi, Chris.
It's me again. Yeah, so obviously, I think it's great that you guys are doing this, but your presentation deck is very much orientated towards the Antelope Valley, and technically, Agua Dulce sits within the Santa Clarita Valley. Acton is in the Antelope Valley general plan, whatever it's called, and we're not. Is that still going to allow us to submit valid comments and feedback? I mean, obviously, you've highlighted the section of Sierra Highway down by Boiling Point as a problem area.
We have included Agua Dulce as part of the study area. So in terms of what will actually happen after, I don't know what will happen, but we definitely want your feedback. One way or another, we want to address your challenges and your issues with safety, because
that's
Vision Zero as a whole, we are here for our community. Doesn't matter where you live. Right. So regarding the safety plan, that's just gonna, I mean, you guys all use the roadways in Antelope Valley, I'm sure. So if you have issues there, then I'm sure you guys can chime in as well.
After seeing your map, I'm not sure I'm going to go into the Antelope Valley again.
I just wanna chime in. I'm sorry to interrupt. I couldn't find my hand button, but yeah, that map, that the study area, it does include Agua Dulce. Although I understand we're calling it, it's Rural Roadway Safety Plan for Antelope Valley. But luckily for this plan itself, and when we submitted for the grant application, it included the Agua Dulce. So definitely submit comments specifically for Agua Dulce area, or as you drive to Antelope Valley, somewhere in Antelope Valley.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Fawn? Great. Okay, apparently we can log on to the website and download the questionnaire and submit our comments directly to the website. Will that work best, Fawn?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us tonight and sharing this information with us. And obviously, the fact that Agua Dulce and Acton is going to be included in the study, we'll do our best to get some participation.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next up, that brings us to old business, which is PSPS through Southern California Edison. Does anybody have an update on what's going on with Edison PSPS?
Yeah, I haven't touched base with Jackie on this recently. When we eventually did get a response from City of Santa Clarita back in mid-March, it wasn't the sort of interaction we were expecting. It was more like, send us everything you've got, which is obviously quite a tall ask. And I think there was a general reticence to do that. Santa Clarita can fight their own battle. So I'll touch base with Jackie hopefully in the next couple of weeks and report back. But certainly from our perspective, it didn't go very far. Okay.
Well, next up, you can keep your microphone unmuted there, Chris, because next up is RTG Investments, Agua Dulce residential projects, looking for an update or whatever you might have regarding that.
Yeah, so obviously I've been out of pocket for the last little while, but during that time I've obviously been attending various events. I mean, I was over at AVEX headquarters last month at this listening session, got to meet the general manager of AVEC, and I have to go and get this information probably directly from the county, so I'm just going to acknowledge a reliable source. I don't believe that this information isn't accurate, but there are some things that really do concern me. If you remember, we identified this additional water tank pressure zone, probably in about September last year. And we went to the county and said, please let us know, could you just give us a copy of all the information you've got that led to the delivery of this, because you've got this pressure zone on these plans that sits technically in Acton, but it's not covered anywhere in the original planning documents. And the county came back and gave us, eventually half a dozen pages of rubbish from, certificates of compliance from 1980s. And that was it. Now, the information that I've become privy to suggests that there was an awful lot more than that was shared with Public Works in the recent past since this project was acquired. And now I know exactly what I'm looking for. I can go to the county and ask them for exactly what I need. But that is one aspect that I'm concerned about, because, potentially what they were trying to do back in, not long after it was purchased by the current owner, was do an awful lot more than we've ever been told in terms of development of that particular immediate area, including Agua Dulce. More recently, and I think it first came onto our radar back in early 2024, when the owners of the project had this, pizza night at their site office, and the head of the company said, well, we're going to build a golf course. If you go back to the original approvals from 2007 and 1994, particularly the 2007 approvals, which required this on-site wastewater plant, they talked about having all these, essentially the irrigation on the site, when you're talking about plants and, keeping everything from going up in a big fireball in a high fire hazard zone. There was an awful lot of emphasis on using recycled water, reclaimed water from the wastewater treatment plant to do the irrigation. And more recently, it looks like the county has been in some very active discussions with the developer about taking that 90-acre property, which is immediately to the south of the first phase of the project, between the south and the 14, and creating a golf course, and then approaching AVEC to get water rights for that, and a significant amount of water. And I think, it just makes no sense to me that, on the one hand, Mary and I have been in, Senate Bill 552 meetings, and we've been looking at these heat maps that show where people in Acton and Agua Dulce are having issues with their private wells. And we know that District 37 has a well located in Acton Park that they blend with the water from AVEC to supply the local area in Acton who have public water. And on the flip side of that, and that group is headed by a guy called Adam Ariki, who's a very senior person within Public Works. And then more recently, as we talked about last year, when the gates came down on communications with outside agencies of Public Works, and everything was directed to a guy called Ramy Gindi. He's a Deputy Director of Public Works. And it seems to be he who's involved in this discussion. So on the one hand, you've got the county telling us, oh, we're really concerned about private wells in the Acton and Agua Dulce area. And then on the other hand, they're having a conversation with the developer who's done nothing yet other than trundle earth-moving equipment and create dust clouds everywhere. And, compare and contrast with where the Sand Canyon project is. The Sprouts is open, the restaurants are open, the apartments there are framed and roofed and goodness knows what else. All the road improvements are done. That project broke ground at the same time as the Agua Dulce residential project. I think that gives you a sense of what the true intent of this is. But it just makes no sense to me that they would not go back to the developer and say, well, actually, no, you can't have a golf course there, because the idea is you put a wastewater treatment plant in, and the water from the community that you want to build actually gets recycled, and you can use that on the golf course. No, we'll go and get however many 100,000 gallons a day they're going to need of fresh, clean drinking water from the AVEC to do this. So it's not quite clear to me what these guys are playing at. I don't know whether the ongoing issues in the Ukraine and Russia mean that they're trying to sort of polish it up and offload it and find another developer to sell it to. and they think they might do better if they've got, you know, another chunk of water rights granted to them in a letter of intent from AVEC. But, you know, they haven't. There's no way these guys are going to build a single building on that project for at least another 2 years if they don't get a grip of what they're doing with the earth moving equipment. I mean, it makes no sense. But I think we as a council should be concerned that the county's done all this stuff behind our back. When we've asked questions to them legitimately about what's going on, they've kind of, you know, withheld information, material information that I think the community has a right to know as it relates to water rights, given everything else that, you know, is going on.
Hey, Chris, tell me a little bit more about this golf course. This is the first I'm hearing about this.
Yeah, so when, I think it was probably in about March or April last year, maybe a little bit earlier in February, RTG had reached out to some members of the community and said, hey, you know, why don't you come along to our site house at the southern end of Valley Sage Road, and you can meet us and we'll talk to you about what our vision is for this project. And at that particular meeting, this idea of a golf course was floated. Oh, you know, we're going to create a golf course and there's going to be horse trails and it's going to be, you know, we're going to sit around and sing Kumbaya together. That was where the golf course first came up. And I initially thought, yeah, right, you know, we've got these barren hills, you know, we're not going to be spending money putting water onto a golf course in the middle of the desert. But evidently that's not the case.
And there's actually communication from LA County about this golf course?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've no reason to. So, you know, in order to get the golf course, they need a will serve from AVEC. And I've no reason to believe that what I've been told, you know, that it isn't true, because it correlates back to what RTG told everybody who attended that little shindig with pizza at their place back in early 2024 about what they wanted to do with the project.
Yeah, I think we were made aware of a possible, was it a convalescent home and commercial development, or?
Yeah, I think they talked about a school. They talked about some retail. I mean, it's almost like trying to stick a pin in a piece of mercury, getting to the bottom of actually what they are trying to do. But I think there's a lot more to this than LA County has shared with us, and I don't understand why they didn't do that, because what they seem to be doing goes well beyond the scope of what was approved back in 1994 and 2007.
All right. And as I understand it, now you know what you're looking for, and so the next time you visit with the county, you'll be able to be specific as to what you're requesting. Is that true?
Yes. I mean, I can't go all P. Diddy and, you know, hang them over the edge of a balcony when I see them next Monday. And it's only a single-story building anyway, so that's not going to work too well. But now that I know what's out there in a rough description, I can go and ask for it in a way that I think their response should be much clearer than it has been brief. And I question why they didn't give us an honest answer to this previously, because the answer that we got came through in early 2025 when I went back to them and said, hey, where's the answer to this? And I think these discussions are, you know, recent, as in 2024, 2025.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Anything else to add to that, Chris?
Not from my end. I mean, I'll hit them up with another public records request.
And I don't see Marcy. Is Marcy here, or someone from the 80 neighbors?
No, she sent me an email earlier today and said that she was going to be able to make it, but she didn't really have anything new.
Okay, all right. Yeah, just looking at that, 80 neighbors 2021. So 4 years has gone by since that group was actually formed. So, anyway, now we're on to the President's Report. And just so that everybody's aware, the 2025 Agua Dulce County Council meeting format, in an effort to be more inclusive with community participation and effective communication. The council will continue with virtual meetings and have an in-person hybrid meeting twice a year. Virtual meetings will be January, February, March, May, June, July, October, and November. The in-person hybrid meetings will be in April and September. And the location of those in-person meetings is going to be the Agua Dulce Women's Club, which is at 33201 Agua Dulce Canyon. So, incoming correspondence for action, we have not received any, but we do have public hearing information to share and community meetings and workshops that are coming up. So the first item is Southern California Edison Wildfire Safety Virtual Discussion. That's going to be held June 12th, which is tomorrow, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And the registration link is found there in our agenda. Anybody who would like to register and go. Next item is the 2025 Water Resiliency Summit, which is going to be June 16th from 8:30 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. And that's put on by LA County Public Works down in Fremont Avenue in Alhambra. So if you would like to attend that, the registration link is there also. The third item is the Regional Planning Hearing Officer public hearing for conditional use permit to authorize construction, operation, and maintenance of a new wireless communication facility consisting of a 55-foot tall full water tank and a permanent facility for AT&T. Project location is 33433 Agua Dulce Canyon Road. So I believe that's down there on Sandy Lane's property, if I'm not mistaken. It's where we had the country fair one year. So if you'd like to comment about that, there will be a hearing at Regional Planning June 17th at 9 a.m. held at the Hall of Records, which is down in beautiful downtown LA. And case materials can also be found on our agenda. Last item is the Renewable Energy Ordinance Update. And we're concerned about the BESS project, which is taking place over in Acton. June 17th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. For details, you can go to our agenda and find out where to register and how to get zoomed in. Incoming correspondence for notice. These are items that some of them have been mentioned in our meeting so far. But the housing ordinance update, recent changes in state housing law, requires that LA County update its local regulations. It probably might be something in there about the ADU. We'll see. But the link there is to planning.lacounty.gov long range planning housing ordinance dash update. The draft ordinance link is also found there in our agenda. So we did have some plans that were filed. One of them we talked about, 12120 Sierra Highway. They have pre-application counseling to receive comments from all departments regarding the proposed concert venue, Woodstock. Okay. 13025 Sierra Highway. Illegal commercial trucking property. They have an existing storage building of 425 square feet to be converted to ADU. New ADU addition, 775 feet. Total ADU area, 1,200 square feet. So then we've also got some conditional use for a guest ranch, nature retreat, and summer camp for foster youth. That's up there on Tasha Trail. I think that's heading toward boiling point on the left-hand side, if I'm not mistaken. Where is that? Where's Tasha Trail?
Tasha Trail is off of Hierba, past Anthony, past Tierra Dulce. There's a little road called Bryan. It's at the end of Bryan on 20 acres.
Okay, so it's on the way to the boiling point, but it's on the left-hand side up against the hill, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That particular person looking for a conditional use permit would like to put in a guest ranch, nature retreat, and summer camp for foster youth. So, if anybody's concerned about that, they can find out what his concerns are. Also, we have base application. Let's see. Site plan review began for permit address and electrical service for a single-family residence on APN. The number's there. And then we have some additions. We have master bath, new freestanding pool cabana. Have at it. It's going to have a gable roof on it also. So that's kind of exciting. So other than that, RV storage yard on Davenport, they want to install a manager residence there, 2-car carport, restaurant sign, and a 3-yard dumpster enclosure. So that's kind of exciting. And then there's another APN on Morgan and Agua Dulce Canyon Road, new 2-story single-family residence with an attached ADU. So look forward to finding out more of the details regarding the ADU. And then on Steel Street, which is down there in Chris's neighborhood, pre-application counseling for proposed new guest ranch. 29 new guest rooms, lodge, storage barn, wine tasting room, spa room, community pavilion, picnic pavilion, trailhead pavilion, bird watching blind, exterior meditation, relaxation pavilion, stargazing platform, a nature blind, observation platform, outdoor music venue, here we go again, infrastructure, improvements to existing roads, domestic water, fire water, septic, solar power, reactivate existing landing strip. Good luck. Anyway, they have, those plans have been filed, and we don't know what their requirements are, but they are trying to seek the approval of the Department of Regional Planning. So that brings us to the open forum session of our meeting tonight. If anybody would like to speak, I'll give you a minute and a half, maybe 2. If not, we're going to pass right over this open forum part, which we are. Okay. High-speed rail update. I don't think we have anything. We haven't heard anything. They're kind of, and as I understand it, they're being audited by the feds. So we'll see how that ends up. Committee reports. Election committee. Chair Lorna, are you with us tonight? She's not. Okay. Well, things are going to get hot and heavy probably next month or 2 with Lorna. So she's still looking for people that want to volunteer to help her out on the election committee. Film committee, Catherine, here's your chance. Catherine Segura.
I'm trying to unmute.
Okay, we can hear you.
There were 3 productions this month, in May.
Okay, 3. Item C, Parks and Trails. Mary Johnson, update on proposed meeting with equestrian leaders and parks staff. Mary.
Well, I can give you the update that is scheduled for June 26th.
Yeah.
And hopefully some of the outstanding issues from the response that we got just yesterday from Kim Bosell will be resolved. And then an update on the tunnel graffiti at Vasquez Rocks. I'm now so switched from Caltrans to U.S. Forest Service, and it appears as if the project will be done jointly with the Angeles National Forest and the Pacific Crest Trail Association.
Huh, cool. Okay, and I see Chris is up. Chris?
Yeah, so apologies that I wasn't at the last couple of meetings, but I was actually not on a convenient time zone. And obviously I saw a lot of the dialogue coming in from members of the community, pro and against, some of the discussion points in the letter that was put together last month. And I just wanted to offer a couple of suggestions up, having sort of absorbed everything, and, based on having to, resolve some fairly complex issues in my former life in business. We have in our letter a laundry list of issues that have been raised, and then in the response from the county we've got a list of things that have come back. I think as I read through it all, and I'm going to start by saying, when you go to a county meeting today, when I first started listening to Board of Supervisor meetings when Mike Antonovich was our supervisor, there was no acknowledgement of the Native American, role in the county. And now pretty much every meeting that we deal with, whether it's a Board of Supervisors meeting or whether it's a water meeting like the one we'll be having on Monday at Public Works next week, starts off with this acknowledgement of the Native American culture and its influence on our community. So I think it would certainly be valuable to try and, not escalate this to the point where they turn around to the county and say, hey, why? I mean, there's a lot of very important components to that site that are relevant to the Tataviam Indians, who are the local tribe. There's burial mounds on there, there's, sensitive areas, there's rock art and all that good stuff. So I think that to the extent that we can actually support the county in meeting their obligations to the tribe who's letting them use that land as this nature center, we should try and do that. When I look at the list of issues that are, we're trying to resolve here, I went through this, I'm going to give you an analogy. I went through a patent lawsuit with LG, and we had 70-something claims across 5 or 6 different patents that they'd infringed. But before we took that into a federal court, we had to trim it down to our top 5. And I think it would be helpful to have a think about what the most important issues are out of those 2 or 3 pages of points that we've raised. What are the 2 or 3 that we really want to try and get to the bottom of in this meeting of June 29th? And focus on those, and then come back at some point in the future as needs be to figure out the answer to the rest of it. As I asked around, once I got back to the area, I've known Sarah since she was working in the hardware store, and I know that she's very enthusiastic about the area. And I also know that some of the people in the equestrian community, have this nuclear option, which is very common in today's society. If you can't get your own way, well, I'm going to, blow you up, basically. And I think that would be a very unfortunate path for some of our community members to go down, because Sarah's very passionate about the community. She's very passionate about the park itself. She understands it very well. So I think that, the worst that could happen here is that this all explodes and the local Indian tribe says to the county, hey, you know what, just put a fence around it and keep everybody out of it, which would be a disaster. The second worst thing that could happen is that somebody goes, as hard as they can at the management team in LA County and tries to get Sarah assigned to a different place. Because all these events that we have at the park are really, somebody has to make them happen. And as we all know from working with different aspects of the county government, having somebody who's enthusiastic about what you're trying to do is unusual. So we wouldn't really want somebody getting shipped in from Downey who just sees it as a 9-to-5 job to replace her. So I think we should just try and, you know, keep that resource who's passionate about our community in that place. I don't want to offend anyone in what I'm about to say, because I know Sarah's on the call, but I think that when I looked at the reply that we got from the county today, you know, part of the issue, I think, is that there's a lot of, you know, civil code being thrown at people. You know, people are coming to that place to enjoy themselves with their family, by themselves or whatever, and getting a page of do's and, well, they're not do's, they're don'ts. So before you even sort of step foot on the property, you've got a list of things you can't do. And I think that document, I mean, clearly it's created because people are doing silly things like straying off the trails and going into areas that they shouldn't be, like the burial grounds, etc. But my suggestion would be to trim that down. Again, taking this approach of, you know, what are the top things that you want people to do? And rephrasing that in the way that it says, hey, thanks for coming. While you're here, we'd like you to do this. So not tell them what you don't want them to do, but tell them what you do want them to do in a way that they understand what they're not supposed to do, if that makes sense. And then on the